Welcome to another episode of Modern Black Man Podcast. What's up, Syren?
How you doing today?
Man, I'm blessed. I'm excited to have you on, and I'm excited to talk about our topics today. We're going to talk about slut shaming. I got a definition of it, too.
Oh.
Wikipedia, I think we can all agree it's fair enough. Slut shaming is the practice of criticizing people, especially women and girls, who are perceived to violate expectations of behavior and appearance regarding issues related to sexuality. I'll stop there. Does that sound accurate?
Yeah, that sounds accurate.
I obviously am guilty of this, and I'm more aware of it lately.
I'm guilty of slut shaming.
Right? We all are. But like, I'm about morals too, because I've noticed that when I slut shame, I feel that the emotion only comes out when it's a woman violating boundaries in a relationship. But it's so true how we put that on all women to slut shame. So I'm excited to talk about somebody that can give us good perspective, because what is that all about? Like, is that men to blame? Is there women to blame?
It's society.
Yeah.
It's not really men to blame or women. It's a society we live in. I did a topic on body count. I recorded it. It's not out yet. But one thing we look at is how society views sexuality, especially when it comes to women. Men are said, it's said when you guys are kids, boys will be boys. Versus with women, you're supposed to be moral, you're supposed to be chaste, which I hate when people say the moral thing, because if you look up the definition of morals, especially like when I took ethics and stuff like that, morals is for everybody. So again, Jeffrey Dahmer example, morals was to kill people. I mean, on a society,
morals are very objective. They're never
they're very subjective to each person. So and especially when it comes to sexuality, America is a funny country, because America upholds these Christian, Catholic, whatever have you values, but promotes sexuality in your face every day. Look at advertisements. So it's kind of like it makes it hard to move. And slut shaming it's already dangerous in general, because when we get into things like sexual violence, slut shaming is used to excuse things like that. So it's a slippery slope that needs to be done with. And again, people, like I always tell people, people's sexual behavior does not correlate with their morality. Because I have met some Christians who go to church every day, some women who say, I ain't never said, I've only slept with one man, or I'm a virgin, and they are some of the nastiest people on earth. So,
well, let's talk about that. It's that's the whole moral relativism thing, or morals being subjective. There are horrible people of all walks, and it's really frustrating or disturbing when the people that we identify or credit as being that moral authority are wicked themselves. And I think sexuality is a huge stronghold of control from that community. I didn't think we would get to it this quick, but you already know the church is amazing at demonizing gay people. So that's, in my experience, been a lot of controversy for people that don't want anything to do with the church anymore, that are down on religion. And
I won't go because church has changed. For example, I can say the last time I went to church, I believe in God. I'll tell anybody, I love the Lord, but I don't like going to church. Number one, I had an experience where when they brought the ATMs to the church, that threw me off. After that, the last time I went to church, I was actually, so that was the last time I went, when the ATMs came. That kind of like in the card readers, the squares, I was like, what the hell's going on? And then after that, before that, before anybody knew I was pregnant, and mind you, I had a baby at 18. I went to church with my mom, so this is like me turning 17, going on 18. And I'll never forget this lady in church. You know how you introduce yourself and they want to bless you and all this shit like that. And this lady was like, oh, she's like, you're such a beautiful, smart girl. She's like, you wouldn't be like these fast tail women out here having babies and having sex. And mind you, I was pregnant, and she was going on and on and on. I was sitting there like, I said, after that, I never went back. I never wanted to go to church again.
Okay, I want to talk about that, because that's trauma, right?
It is trying. Like I said, I mean, don't get me wrong.
Right.
After I did go to another church, like I said, the ATM thing threw me off. And after that, I just was done. Like, I don't get me wrong. Like I said, I love the Lord. I pray and everything like that. Surprisingly, as a heathen as I am, but
Amen. I said amen.
But church nowadays has changed, and even with like things like Christian influencers, it's not that idea of fellowship and community like I see it. It's really it's like it becomes like glamorized. It's almost like church is just trendy. I'm on Instagram, I'm of the Lord and I'm moral. Like, it's not really helping people. And if every post, if you're gonna be an influencer, especially Christian, if every post you make it is demonizing and bringing somebody down, of course no one wants to come to church. Who wants to come?
That's what went wrong with the church, is that it's no longer a vehicle on a mission. It's no longer service to our communities. It's really become highly divisive. And I think that in the church, there are cliques, no matter what church you go to, but there's the older members of the congregation that's holding down their way, the middle group, and then the younger generation that are coming to take over.
And
right.
The younger, and that's the sad part, is the younger group is not any better. Because I mean, like, I know people, and it's again, like I said, that moral thing. I'll never forget. It was this girl on Instagram who one of my cousins went to college or something with. They're older than me. But she put up this long, drawn out post. And mind you, again, you're a Christian, hashtag Christian influencer. So I already know the game. Number one, I don't like any influencers, because we all know at the end of the day, their whole business,
money game.
Yeah, it's a money game. So she's like having those hashtags, but she's making a post about, if you're a Christian, you should not be doing these things. She said, I can understand with the crystal thing, even though I have an argument for the crystals, but she brings up yoga. Now, mind you, people are going off in the comments on her. Like, are you kidding me, sis? What's immoral about yoga? And she like, oh, because yoga, if you do yoga, it's like it's part of the Hindi religion, and it disrupts your connection with the Lord and things like that. Now, mind you, I don't know if I went before, but I actually have went to Christian-based yoga. I have never heard that, and it has never turned me off from praising the Lord. So what the hell are you talking about? But yeah,
that's what keeps people out of the church. Exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's judgment. Like, she's like, you can't be a Christian and do this. It's not like looking at like the stuff like what the freak? Like, if you want to, Jesus, if I understand the Bible correctly, Jesus hung out with everybody. He gave love to everybody. He didn't look down on anybody. He gave his love to everyone. So if you're going to bring people into the church, that's all you have to be. You don't have to agree with my lifestyle at all. But if you want to preach the love of God to me, then that's what you're going to do. You're not going to sit here and shame me for the way I'm living my life.
We're about to get off of church, but if anybody, you, me, anyone wants to read Matthew in the Bible, that's one of my favorite chapters, because in that book, Jesus goes off on the Pharisees. I think it's around 12, and I think Jesus cursed. I have a whole podcast about it called Cursing Christian. And again, it's what you're talking about. It's that judgment. How could someone who was created judge someone else, especially someone else that has the same creator? But slut shaming. We have such a habit of doing this, that we feel called, we feel it's necessary to keep the order of things, I think, to slut shame. With that being said, it seems like it is evolving, but slut shaming has changed. It's interesting. Do you get what I mean? It's not that we're calling women out for.
It's a two-way. So I tell people all the time, it's projection a lot of times. It's projection. Because like I tell people, it's like sex. Everybody, it's like candy. When you open a bag of, or when you open a bag of chips in class, people may stare at you, but people want some. So you have your people, and that's why Christians are a good example, not shaming them, but our moral girls, our defined feminine, our, whatever they're trying to call it now.
Yeah.
A lot of these people, please don't be fooled, especially with social media. People post the glamorous parts of social media that you want you to see. Please don't be fooled, because the same girl talking about, ooh, these hoes outside twerking during the summertime nasty is the same girl on her mirror shaking her ass trying to perfect it. So please don't.
She better be. She better get it right.
So, and like I tell women all the time, I'm not with the idea of, are you raising a wife? Or like they'll say that to women, like, how are you training your child to, like, your daughters to be wise or things like that? First of all, that is a fucking child. That's not even on their mind. Kids should be raised to have fun and live. When they get to that point, they meet a partner and they compromise and grow a relationship together. That's a whole nother story. We need to teach our
That
kids.
is so evolved that you say that. I think that's a fair perspective.
And
I don't
people,
think we all look at it that way. I
I do,
think
because at
that,
the end of the day, a relationship is a compliment. We're not back in the old. We're not back in the olden times where the patriarchy was super hard and women couldn't work and couldn't vote. Women have choices. I'm not saying that to like put anything against men, but people need to be raised now that your gender does not define who you are as a person, and that
what
is
kind
the.
of wife do you think you would be if you were in a single monogamous relationship?
Yeah. I think I'd be good. I mean, I've like dating wise, I've learned a lot of lessons over time, especially like communication was my biggest issue.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd be probably be fun behind closed doors.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like it would change your lifestyle, and I guess I kind of asked that just because
I
the
could probably be weird monogamous.
the culture thing, it's changing and it's growing, and we're talking about slut shaming, and we're talking about telling our girls
is it really
to become
changing? A
wives.
lot of things that we think are new are not really new.
No, I agree. Nothing new under the sun.
It's like I was reading. Oh, I had to catch up. I was just listening to a podcast and looking at like history stuff. Face sitting. We're gonna put that out there. Face sitting has been around since ancient times. There were queens, African queens, who literally had slaves who they would be magistrate in court and they would be sitting on chairs getting the coochie ate. So I mean, a lot of stuff that we demonize now has not it's not really anything new or surprising.
The queen had men would just fall and have to service her.
Or they would be slaves. Like there were some situations where, say, if they got captured by the army, they could either get killed or they could be a slave to the queen.
I mean, how hot is that universally? Because there's a man involved, right? If this is a heterosexual scenario, and I'm sure there's probably ladies that were very talented as well. But I wouldn't object to that if the queen service and I could be
take that over death.
Country, yeah, like, very interesting. Very interesting.
I personally blame again is especially like in America. It's the hardcore. We want to be on the borderline of two sides. We're this moral country per se, but at the same time, sex is just ingrained in us. If you get what I'm saying, like America is a weird country. Other countries are weird too. But.
How do you think the world ranks? Or do you think you're qualified for that? As far as like who are the freaks? I'm just gonna ask you.
America. I don't know who exactly are the freaky freaks, but America is pretty dirty. But we just want to hide. Again, people are hiding what they do, and there's nothing. I'm not saying that everybody has to have their stuff out there, but I hate when people again don't come around slut shaming people for the same stuff you secretly do. That's why I appreciate people who are more out. And I'm not saying, like, for example, I'm not going to go to work and be like, yeah, y'all, last night I went to an orgy. Like, not at all. But at the same time, like I tell people when, like, I'll hear stories from my friends, like, oh, wish that girl was ran through. Okay, if she's a grown consenting adult, why are you calling somebody ran through?
We're talking about slut shaming. It would have to work both ways, though. Like, in knowing you, I think that would be a hot story on one hand. But on being a man and trying to control a woman, or being angry, jealous, whatever that means to want to control someone of the opposite sex, I can see some bitch shit too. But it comes both ways. Because I mean that's kind of hot. So you said people say you're automatically ran through. Do you have we talked about that before? Have we ever done an episode on how many bodies is enough or anything like that? Have we ever done that?
I talked about body count, and I don't believe in body count. I think it's stupid. How old are we? We're out of high school.
Yeah, but here's the thing: after a certain number, it stacks. I'm not giving any credence to it. I'm just saying that we're grown-ups and we act like children. And if we hear a certain number, men, women, everyone included, I guess it wouldn't be all of us, but some of us would react. I think it would be a knee-jerk reaction if you said that you were with, I've been with more like 70,000 guys. I'm like, damn, like how is dick ever going to be special again? Not because, huh?
It would be. It still is.
Right?
every experience with a partner is going to be different, and it's beautiful. I had that realization yesterday about how much I just enjoy pleasure, and I mean that goes beyond like my own pleasure, like seeing people get pleasure, things like that. So it's still like it's still valid. I mean, some people just have more active sex lives. It's just
Well, yeah, trust me. I don't think that our sexual engines necessarily have limitations as much as they have max speeds. I think that we can kind of rev our engine at its height, but when it's over, when it's done, it's done. And relationships are a really strong indicator of that, because I think we've all been in relationships. Things kind of wind down. How does that happen? You'll have the hottest, bestest, sexiest relationship, and that event will happen, or the flame will go out, and you see those changes. And tell me if I'm missing it on that point. But when it goes down, the passion goes away, and I just don't understand how. You just aren't how it happens. How do we get here?
Time.
Yeah.
I mean, like I was on a podcast the other day when we were talking about how often should you how often would you have sex? So I was telling them like sometimes like when I was in my toxic situation and we first got into a relationship, when you first get in a situation, oh y'all be fucking like rabbits.
Right.
But then work, kids, life. So again, that's that exploration that you have to do. That's why I said that body count conversation is so old to me after a while. It's just like
you're really against tradition. I think that's cool. You don't want to be in color purple. You ain't feeling Mr. Being in control like that.
Because number one, people use the body count like I said again. Body count is just another form of slut shaming. It's just like Little Dirk, for example. And I don't care how many people want to argue with me about it. First of all, my issue is this: you want to be all moral and chase talking about body counts. Why are you a grown man talking about the body counts of your fiance in front of a group of other men? That's already kind of strange. Second of all, man, I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna let this go. Lil Durk got 6 kids with 5 baby mamas, and he concerned about somebody's body count. You got a high body count.
Okay, I want to talk about it, man.
But it's because he's a man.
Well, I didn't get disturbed by it. I'm gonna throw this out there. I had my little brewski. I'm getting hardcore tonight, baby. We're doing the Mick Ultra. We're doing the Mick Ultra. Okay. Trophy Dad beer, official sponsor of the NBA. I forgot my point.
You must say something about Lil Durk. You weren't really disturbed by it.
Okay, body count. We were talking about purity and men's obsession with purity. It's kind of gross and it's kind of sad, but men would be in their 30s and they would marry like 13-year-old girls, right? Men were older and they would marry someone younger. And I think that now with all the confusion and disorder in the world, not just simply gender roles or providership roles, but identity roles as well, we can't point any fingers. But that purity may be what is good for us to get away from, because that purity might be the impurity, because I started this whole allegory out talking about pedophilia, right? We're talking about how men will be well into adulthood and they would wife and bride children. I want to say, wasn't Mary in the Bible like 15 and Joseph was in his 30s or something like that?
Do you know the origin of virginity? Because people get mad when I say it, but virginity is a social construct. It's not real.
Virginity?
Think about it. So,
man.
And I'm gonna use myself as an example. I work in the medical field, so I can tell you this right off the bat. Because remember, I don't know if you was in high school, you ever had that experience with people like, oh, I only had anal sex, I only had head, am I a virgin still? When people be fixated on that,
I break the hymen every time, man.
But this is the thing: you cannot. A female's hymen is not an indicator of virginity, because some women are born with theirs not intact. Right. You can break your hymen riding a bike. You can break it doing a multitude of activities. So that's not an indicator. The thing is, virginity in its history, because you can look at medical books now, there is no set definition for virginity because it's not a medical term.
Well, okay, let's talk about it, right? We, for years, have been misled and told that the hymen was a marker of virginity.
And it's not. You can
Um,
go ask the gynecologist, and they will tell you that the hymen can break from so many things. There are literally girls who will go to the doctor and they don't have, like, it's not intact because
right.
Becky rode a horse down the street and it broke.
Well, I wish that that wasn't a real effect because that not only hurts the woman, but it can be uncomfortable for the man as well. Um, but the obsession with purity is really in vain. You are one of my favorite people on Twitter because you post the ill shit. You posted, would you rather have the throat goat or nah? Something like that. Like, what did you say?
I've
What
heard,
was some of the body count?
yeah, because I've heard men literally do this. Oh yeah, she's so pure, blah blah blah. Go back to their homeboys or come back, call you, call the girl. Man, she ain't know how to suck no fucking dick. She know how to do this. She know how to do that. But that's what you wanted.
Well,
oh, and I meant to make my point. Virginity, the reason it exists is because back in the Dizzy for the dowry, if you had a woman who was
pure.
untouched, the dowry was higher. So, and also, oh no, main point. Back in the day, what did they not have for kids? Paternity test.
Ooh.
So therefore, if I know, say me and Bobby hooked up and I have a baby, okay, if Bobby want to come fight with me, like, oh no, you know, I thought that you were sleeping with Josh around the corner. Bobby, I was pure before I met you. You are this baby's daddy. So that's a main reason why virginity exists, is because people needed a way to prove that people's kids were their kids. That is the main reason.
That is horrible.
That is, I get it though. Quest Diagnostics wasn't around.
Right. They didn't have the resources. It was a different day and a different game.
But back to I'm sorry, I had to just put that out there. I ain't make
No. I think that's fine. But purity, it's not really as pure as we make it out to be, like you laid out there. There is a dark side to that, and this whole slut shaming motif, I think, goes with control, obviously.
and taking.
Because women are, in many eyesight, property. And I like discussing this, especially on shows, because there is a positive way to associate that. If you have a religious angle, your wife is your property because she is your flesh, and you have to respect your flesh as if it is your own. Her flesh is your flesh. So that whole property thing and is about ownership and responsibility. It's not something to be glorified. It's not the that's not Jesus saying that that's your bitch. It's
people reading it the wrong way. It's
they
like that's why
it the wrong way.
Another thing I don't like about it is it's something to be taken from somebody. It sounds like when you think about it, it doesn't even sound right. Like, what do you mean? I took her virginity. I popped her. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't. It already sounds very.
But that's what you want as a man. I think that we can call it toxic masculinity. I don't.
No,
care.
I wouldn't call it. It just, to me, when you say it, it sounds like ooh, like
it's aggressive, bro. Let's talk. Like, heterosexuality has been shamed, and I think that's a big thing and a big part of it that's changed. Our creepiness, there's light being shined on it now.
On the weirdness.
So sexual assault, weirdness, perversion, all that stuff.
But that's what I think it's good to think about slut shaming. Like I said, it's a snowball effect, because once we start saying, like, for example, when people get raped, or like I use a good example on a podcast, it was me and somebody else who used to be in sex work, and they were like, oh, well, we were talking about being fetishized, and I was saying, no, because again, this is where that slut shaming problem comes in again, that you think, okay, young lady is dancing in the club, in a little skimpy bikini, it's okay for somebody to touch and grab her. That's not okay. That's assault. Same thing with rape.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. That is assault, and it's got to be creepy as shit. You call it fetishized, but yeah, niggas want to friend on the chick from the club. That's what been like. That's
customers don't think about it, but in reality, legally in the law, even though the law doesn't pursue it because of, again, these morality politics and slut shaming.
That's a problem. That is a problem area.
But in reality, if you look at the law, no, we are not there. Like, those women are not there for you to just grab without consent.
Black women are abused differently than black men. Medicine is where women really are killed because pain isn't perceived the same. But then when law enforcement comes, morality and paternalism are what strangle our women a lot of times because she was a dancer, because she was wearing this, because her, this, that, or the other.
And that's for all. Oh, you had too much, and I can't even. I'm not to be, it's something against white women, but
why she got 3 kids?
Yeah, or I can even use it for. I can even bring them into this conversation. Oh, well, she had too much to drink. I mean, like, again, that's why I said slut shaming in itself is a snowball effect, because then we get that like, oh, well, you can't go outside wearing a skimpy outfit like that because a man can't control herself. Or like, as my grandma used to argue about, oh, well, women have to dress a certain way in the church because you could tempt the men. Okay, a man doesn't have self-control over
I
his.
agree with your grandmama. I agree with the probably jihadists, ISIS, Taliban, where women have to wear burqas and hijabs because you can't trust the eyes of men, because the eyes of men can't be tempted. It's sad because men, we aren't looked at as adults, or are we?
But where is the accountability and the self-control? Because if you are a man of the Lord, you should be able to control it. It's like when women would like and our black community is good for this. Your young girls, okay, you can't wear shorts because your uncle is coming over. If he's tempted by a child, that man is a pedophile. You need to call the cops.
Well, it goes both ways though, because I get uncomfortable if I see some stuff like that. I can see that.
It could be basic shorts. I'm not even talking about no booty shorts. It could be basic shorts that you telling your child, they got to come out of they comfortable wearing their own damn home because a grown ass man is coming. That's weird.
That is a response to perversion, that weirdness. Because let me talk real quick. Mm-hmm. I had an experience over the holidays with my future niece-in-law, right? She's a cute little, sweet little kid. I think she's like 6 years old, right? 5, 6, little girl. And her dad is like super, I guess, paranoid kind of. And I don't like the way that he talks to her. Big shout outs to the homie. You already know I'm talking about it. Because it's kind of like he assumes it's gonna happen type stuff. Like he's parenting from behind in my eyes. Like he's afraid that, because that's the way I think too. Am I gonna lie? Girls have different experiences, so we have to prepare our girls differently and be paranoid for our female children differently than our males. And I agree with it. I think that's an arm of this, we'll call it toxic masculinity.
And I'm not going to talk about it. And as a parent, I understand, but the same like I tell people, if my child is comfortable in her home and she has on something that is child appropriate, because at the end of the day, if it's too short, she ain't wearing it around me. But if it's a grown man who, and I have to think in my head, oh, my child needs to change because he might be tempted, I'm not questioning my child or punishing her for being comfortable at home. I'm questioning that grown ass person. Something is wrong. Something must be off or wrong if I have to even think that about you. You don't need to be in my damn house. There has to be that's my issue. It has to be accountability for an adult. Again, pedophilia, for example. Pedophilia isn't the DSM-5. You don't know what DSM-5 is. It's the it's the psychology.
I looked it up. So, we did a show about that not too long ago on the Big Homies before we got canceled. We talked about that because it's a oh my god, DSM-5 has it as a disorder,
and it is. So it is, but here's the thing: like I tell everybody,
it's not sexual. It's not sexual.
So here's the thing: like I will say, well, all disorders, even the court system, they do uphold this. Now, people with mental illness, they have an illness, don't get me wrong. But once you are aware of something, here's the thing with pedophiles. They know that it is legally wrong in the eyes of the law and in society. So what do? Instead of going to seek help, which they can very well do, they act on their stuff in secrecy. So they're not that damn dumb. They know what they're doing. So again, that's why I said there has to be accountability still. Hell, at the end of the day, as a parent, if I have a weird feeling about someone coming around my child, you're just not coming to my damn house, shorts or not. But yeah, pedophile, again, it's the same thing with schizophrenics. If, for example, good case a couple years back, not in America, in Canada, there was a man, he had schizophrenia, was diagnosed for years, and I've been around schizophrenic patients. Yeah, they get disoriented and go through their little stuff, but they are very well. The man chose not to take his medicine. He went out and killed somebody. Eyes of the court told, and the court literally said, the judge was like, listen, you knew that you had this disease. You told family and friends that he was done taking his medication. You made that choice. You went out here and killed somebody. Prison. So even with pedophilia, yeah, like pedophiles again, like I said, we can already tell because if you sneakily doing CP, if you sneaking online and cheap chatting with a 14-year-old, stuff like that, you very well know what you are doing.
Again, I don't know how much you listen to my show or projects I work on, but I feel a bit of shame for my perversion because I need a pro. I don't care if it's a hoe. I can't be with no amateur. You know, like I don't want to be with someone who's struggling and trying to figure it out. That's weird in a way to me.
Or
And
not
this is
open.
well, a joke I make all the time is like, why would you want to sleep with a kid? They don't know anything.
Mm.
Like they haven't experienced anything. Like they can't be nasty enough. And that's why it's really sad. And I think in elements of slut shaming, the topic we're talking about here, pedophilia is a really important one because I think that slut shaming.
And that's the funny thing about it. Why and like that why I bring it up with slut shaming too is, especially in the Black community, I cannot speak for other cultures because I just can go for off myself and the community I'm in. Slut shaming for, and I mean for a Black man is Black children, Black boy children is different, but for Black young girls, terrible out the gate. Like I said, the shorts thing, the young girls. I mean, again, children gain weight, lose weight. That is just a natural process. You telling them at 8 years old, oh, they getting thick. You're gonna have to be careful. She gonna be fast. Things like that don't need
But
to be.
it's interesting because we do some of the gnarliest, most heinous rhetorical things in our community, saying those things, right?
And
But
it doesn't. Again, like
but
why are
our
you saying?
girls use their bodies. Some of our girls use their bodies, and I think some never figure it out, and I think some are given maybe not dysmorphia, but as a woman, they're given that issue that like I know I'm built like this, but I have so much more to offer, right?
But again, but I'm saying like for example, I'm gonna use because I think I told you about was that me and you talking about Paget?
Talking about who?
Paget. So Paget was one of those social researchers back in the day, like Freud, things like that. Paget did early childhood development. Freud has his too. So when you look at children at certain ages, like for example, children naturally in the toddler stage, they low key masturbate. Kind of disturbing to think about, but it's natural. It happens. Okay.
Yeah.
Once they get to like kindergarten, like 5, between like those little ages all the way up to like 10, I think like about 10, sex is not on their mind. So imagine you're a child and someone is making that commentary and you think of you as the adult instead of just having healthy conversation. Like for example, my thing with children is we don't need to have that talk with them. Their mind is not there. They're not thinking about that. So teach them about anatomy. Teach them about, hey, if someone touches you and makes you uncomfortable, teach them about consent. So they know how to tell something if something is happening to them or a peer. That is it. But if you're telling them things like, "Oh, she gonna be fast," or you as an adult are sexualizing them and putting them that in their brain at that. So now, yeah, when she gets old enough, oh yeah, she is probably looking at herself like, "Dang, I got this, and that." Yeah, because some of the damn adults being weird in their head who needs to go get some damn help and look at their trauma is putting that in their mind. It's not
absolutely. I'm looking for a clip that I sent you on TikTok about the masturbation lady.
That's why I brought up Paget and Freud, because I think Freud is the one who really taps into the sexual part. Kid, depending, like I said, you sent me that, and I didn't get to research into what age bracket, but like I said, like doctors will even tell you with their toddlers when they start doing like they might gyrate against like furniture and stuff like that. Just leave them alone; they will grow out of it.
Yeah, I remember back in my day, we had a Black attorney general. It was a Black lady. I was probably in like second grade, third grade, but she recommended it for everybody to masturbate because teen pregnancy was like a really big deal. I remember Dare and crack, and the 80s was just a different time. So I say that to say that it is certainly more natural than the current time because it's been around since the beginning of time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Leave the toddlers alone. At a certain age, though, you're not really thinking about it. But yeah, the toddlers are notorious for it. They do it.
They say little girls, baby girls, rub one out quite a bit.
Yeah, and it's not like for some people, like it may not be, but you just watch, like not really like watching like that, but They do it. But it's perfectly natural. They stop. They eventually will stop. Now, if they don't, obviously they get some extra help.
It's almost
But
unfair to call it masturbation because it's not as sexual as it
they're
sounds.
no, because they're just exploring their body, and that's why I
They're
feel like
literally touching
yeah.
themselves.
I think, and that's why I think the problem is people make like or have demonized sex so bad that we are so scared. And in reality, it's something to be scared of. Like I said, at certain ages, yeah, certain things to be talked about. So like I said, that school age, no, we may not be talking about that. We might still be using the imaginary story when we talk about like where babies come from and things like that. But no, do the kids need to know what a vagina is? Yes. They know what a penis is? Yes. Why? Because anatomically, that is the body parts. And two, God forbid someone touches them, appear, or something like that. So then they are able to advocate for themselves and tell what's going on. Past
I
that,
used to have this ex, and she had a baby boy, and she used to like be nude around him a lot, and she loved it because she would try to be like, "Oh, it's natural," just like she tried to be all hippie about it. And I mean, I was cool with it, but I just think that there's pros and cons to everything. It's like I think your kid's gonna be comfortable around boobs, but what if this is what turns them off from boobs because yours are, you know what I mean? They're not the best ones out there, or
but I
whatever.
mean, again, if you're already out the gate, and that's what we have to change our mindset. I saw a good post today, and I saved it about sex ed, and people were saying how leave if you're telling us that you're uncomfortable with teaching sex ed, then yeah, leave it to the professionals who can teach it. At the end of the day, if we're already demonizing the human body, we're using health books that got things blocked out and stuff like that. You're already demonizing it and putting it in that taboo box versus just telling people like this is a natural human form and that's it. We all have breasts, we all have nipples, we all have these parts, we all have that parts. That is it. Once we start getting into that, oh well, titties and when they get like these kids are not thinking about it like that. So when we start introducing it to them as adults, that's where the problem goes in instead of just leaving it as in this is just the natural human form.
What do you think about don't say gay?
As somebody who lives in the state of Florida, I'm highly hot about it, not even because of where I stand on LGBTQ rights.
Yeah.
Number one, we have a terrible housing crisis right here, right now. Probably one of the worst that Florida has ever seen. We have an increase in homelessness.
Mm.
So the fact that our taxpayer dollars are going towards this bullshit, I'm pissed. And that's just like again, I'm pissed. It is the stupidest thing. People in Orlando are about to struggle because DeSantis is pissed at Disney.
Yep.
It's getting so out of control. Like I said, I really don't want to put up with it anymore. But otherwise, I think it's stupid.
It's all a form of slut shaming.
And I don't even think it's. I think people. This is the thing I want to say, and this is why I'm really big on allyship. So many people want to cross out the queer community, like especially with Black people. We have Black people in the community who are intersectional, so we're gonna have our Black women. Those are two different issues. I'm Black and I'm a woman. We have our queers. I'm Black and I'm queer. We need to have allyship because, like I want to say is, and this is off the topic of slut shaming. Governor DeSantis, when George Floyd got killed, had a bill that was gonna get passed, and I think he was trying to push to get passed that it would be okay to shoot a protester. Now, mind you, he ain't got to say Black because who was
on
protesting?
the highway?
Yep. So you could shoot a protester. Now we already got the stand your ground law, which is already kind of
Right.
iffy because it only benefits certain people. Let's be very real. So think about, like I tell people, if he would do this shit to gay people, he's already. So think about, you can't say gay in school anymore, and now critical race theory. So think about where the lines go. If they're gonna do that to the queer people, guess who up next? So it just sets the precedent.
Yeah.
And I feel like people need to now. Is it slut shaming for the queer people? I don't think it's necessarily slut shaming. I think, like I said, overall it's stupid.
That Wikipedia definition I read extends and it talks about how the concept of slut shaming is extended to the LGBT community because I think the central theme of slut shaming is paternalism and shame, paternalism and guilt. With women, we try to make them feel bad if they are sexually liberated and free. But I admittedly am guilty. I'm of the ilk that believes that women can be reckless with their sexuality in a different way than men. I think that there's a social wake that can come from a woman who is reckless sexually. But I usually tie this to a relationship, not to her autonomy. And I don't try to control her body or her biology. I think that those two things are hallmarks of slut shaming, right? Abortions, when a woman exercises her right. Birth control, when a woman exercises her right.
Right. Yeah.
Contraceptives, when a woman observes her right. So
And the funny thing is, with all that stuff, again, we cro- you prohibit all this stuff, and people are going to still get into it. It's just going to be more dangerous. And the thing about it is, people ain't gonna stop having sex. People ain't gonna stop making
right.
these things are not gonna stop because at the end of the day, it is a human activity. It's natural. It's nothing. That's what I'm saying. It's us making it so taboo, but we only make it taboo when it's convenient for us. Again, sex is all in the media. Sex sells. That's the term.
Sex sells.
So again, people can, like I said, I highly don't believe when people. Oh, I'm just this quiet little church mouse. I don't believe that BS for a minute. Some people, yeah, they sexual activities might be pretty low, but for the most part, people be into some weird stuff behind closed doors. Just be very real. It's just people wanting to fit into society's brackets, and they have a problem when the people who step out of it, step out of it. That's what I think. The
I
thing.
blame men. I think there are a lot of men who cannot perform sexually. They cannot perform well. They cannot satisfy women. So the most egregious and or disgusting thing that they can fathom is a woman being pleased by either a man, someone else, or just not them, or the desire being, just not them.
And I think people again need to things are changing, and it's not really that things are changing. People's minds are expanding,
Hmm.
and I think that people need to come to terms with that on many topics, not even just sex, but people's minds are expanding and understanding that we have been put in a lot of boxes that we don't really need to be in, that naturally we are not in. Now, I'm not saying if you're a monogamous person and y'all want to have sex between y'all, that's totally fine. That's not what I'm saying. It's just the fact that, like I say, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, sex is on the bottom with food and water, people. So,
Sex is really important to me.
unless
Um,
you're asexual, let me put that out there.
right. Because for a lot of reasons. One of them is that I will go fully asexual when I'm like truly unsatisfied. But also, the joy of a relationship is lost when there's that missing piece for me. I just can't enjoy things. I can't commit to things. It's just not the same. Having a healthy, good, or satisfying sex life is everything. I think it's a great intimate connector.
It
Not to
was
mention the
made to
physical
be so
activity.
dirty in our society, and in reality, it's not really a dirty thing. Don't get me wrong; every ear doesn't need to hear it like children, but for adult people who are consenting, it's a beautiful thing.
It's hard to find negatives in sex. And it's paternalistic, but it's only wrong if it's harmful. So if you're having sex with so many people that you're either harming them or putting them at risk for, something fatal, then clearly
Yeah, but that's where, but
that's,
see, that's where again, a lot of this falls into our jacked up society. So again, when we have good sexual education, that's not abstinence, which the government I still believe pours a lot of money into, which does not work and has been proven time and time again not to fucking work. When they invest money in good sexual education, when people get their mind out the gutter of always thinking sex is this negative thing and understand it is just a natural human activity. Because that's what we need. We need good sexual education, and we need availability for healthcare so people can go get tested and it's available. And it's not. It should. Let me not get on my soapbox, but a lot of this roots into religion and capitalism running things because that's what people need. Sex can, if you have multiple partners, you go get tested. You protect yourself, but without good education, you don't have that. With slut shaming, you don't have that.
ooh. I like how you wrap that bow on that one.
Yeah, you don't
Um,
because I mean, again, if you
yeah.
making it this nasty taboo thing that ain't nobody supposed to do, so no, that's why I said you flood money in abstinence teachings, and what did that teach
That
again?
might be it. We might not be ready to have a sexually fluid society, a truly fluid society.
You have people.
Um,
It's just like with parents. My mom always says this funny thing. Y'all think us having sex is nasty. What do you think we think of y'all? But at the end of the day, as a parent, you understand that your child is getting older, so you prepare them for the world. I get that people want to protect their daughters. By all means, yes. But at the same time, you have to still give her the tools to grow and make safe decisions. Because at the end of the day, they're gonna make decisions and they're gonna make choices that you may not like, but they are a grown. Once they're a grown consenting adult, you give them the tools that they need, and you gotta let them fly.
Every gross and nasty thing I've ever done, a woman done it to me. So, I look at women admirably, and I'm thankful for women because a woman's sexuality is, in my imagination, really kind of unexplored. It's unfathomable to me because
Oh,
the
totally.
depths of femininity and sexuality when they intersect are so different. As a man, I'm like the predator. I just see a heat signature and I'm good to go. You know what I mean? But women are so intricate. And as a man, I try to task myself to satisfy, and it is a welcome challenge. I think it's minds like yours that help unlike mine so I can keep up in this world. So thank you.
Hey, anytime. I'm always down for a conversation. But yeah,
Hmm.
it's interesting stuff.
It's wild, and I think that slut shaming is a very elaborate ruse to take our preoccupation off of the controllers. That's the whole point of it, and I think that we now see in a lot of obviousness the dangers of this. I think there will be a renaissance. There will be a cultural reformation, and in 50 years, being a woman may be very different than it has been in the last 50 years. Um,
We'll see. It's gonna be a long journey.
it might get worse because I mean, I get online and I'm a part of these rooms where they really hate women, and I look at my rookie stuff and I get it, but I don't understand why this younger generation they're not living it up. They're not enjoying the benefits of living in the most attractive time in history. People look better now than they have ever looked in the history of ever. We
Yeah.
have more immunity and prosperity than really any point before. So you
Listen,
might as well. What's
I mean,
wrong
but
with
look, I mean,
kids?
yeah, but look at how things are. I mean, again, you still have this slut shaming thing. We're looking at Roe v. Wade disappearing. I mean, there are so many restrictions coming. So we need people to understand. Like I said, it helps when your mind is open. You don't have to agree with it. It's like abortion. Personally, for me, would I get an abortion? No. But guess what? My neighbor, her 16-year-old might get pregnant, whether that be consensually or for rape or something like that.
Mm.
So I don't want her having to risk her life going to a back alley and getting an abortion. I want her to have access to safe health care. That's just a neighborly thing to do. So at the end of the day, though something may not be for somebody else, I care for my neighbors. I care for my community. And I want everybody to have the choice, be able to live in a free country where they have choices. We don't live in a cookie cutter society. So everybody is not, again, everybody doesn't want to be the Virgin Mary. That's okay. People just need, again, people don't have their minds are set on what they think is moral and right. And at the end of the day, their mind might be set on it outwardly, but inwardly, it's not always the case.
No,
So
people
yeah.
are, yeah.
So I mean, I think that's a lot of things we need to have people who are open minded to learning about other people. And again, just like community care and respecting that people are different. That's what I said. Everybody's sexual behavior. You don't have to slut shame. It's like I look at people. Oh, them girls wearing that. Okay, just because you don't want to wear that, that don't mean that person is necessarily bad.
But we slut shame for a reason, and I think that we breeze through a few really good ones, and I think that it'll absolutely change for better and for worse. And I just really am aware now of maybe why I myself have participated in it.
The projection. I literally tell everybody projection. So that's what I think it boils down to.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, paternalism, projection, and patriarchy, the three P's, when they all come together, it's a disgusting stew.
Because that's what I see a lot of. I mean, it's like me and pole dance. I'll use pole dance for example. I'm sorry, I get off topic. I get off topic a lot, but just to give a good example, I have had so many women privately DM me who are these moral, and there's nothing wrong with it because at the end of the day, duality. You know, you be you. You have multiple layers to you.
Right.
You can go to church and still pole dance, girl. Have fun,
Right.
but secretly, oh, I want to learn how to do that because I want to do that for my man. Ain't got no fucking man. So it's like at the end of the day, you want to be behind closed doors and you're not ready to be out. But at the end of the day, you don't have, again, that's why I said that outward and inward thing is very different. So then you hop on Instagram and project, oh, these sluts dressing like that. Knowing dang well, girl, you be in that house in that mirror wearing that same stuff.
But they want to. And
Yeah,
they be in the mirror in the house. It's a social thing.
Yeah, so you're not, and again, you want to fit in with the, and I understand that it's acceptance because I even go through me going out there and like, dang, I'm gonna wear this, but you know what? I own it. This is who I am. So I understand wanting to fit into society. I understand that rhetoric has been handed down to you that if I don't do this, I won't get a partner. I won't be happy. If I don't act like this, if I have my body count too high, no one will like me. So I get it. You have internalized what people have told you. So yes, guess what? You can't do. You have restricted yourself from being who you want to be. So you project. Oh, she's a slut. She's a hoe. She's a this. Finger pointing because at the end of the day, you want to be free, and it's out there for you. You're just not ready to step into it.
Amen. I think that's a fair summation of it for sure.
That's particularly just the women, because I mean, you have your men, but even for me, like all the stuff I don't done, I mean, sex work and all, like I really haven't had like people were like, oh, no one's gonna want to date you. I've had an okay dating life. I've dated cis hetero men.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I think that's the unique thing of being a beautiful woman in any time. Men are going to be pursuing. It's just a matter of what you feel establishing quality of the men that you encounter. And like you said, you're satisfied. That's all that matters.
And I stick to the tribes I know. Again, that's sticking to the tribes I know. I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't. I mean, I would date a church man if he was interested, but at the end of the day, I know I ain't about to be in Pastor Jones' face. Pastor Jones may not like me. If he do, okay, cool. Then we'll get to know each other, and I'll tell him my
But
past.
you know, if it's a church thing, church man gonna try to wife you up. And
oh yeah, he might get out that church and want to have fun.
See, so and there's nothing wrong with that. That's the lifestyle you committed.
And I feel like people have put themselves, or the society put them in these boxes that you don't have to be in. People have multiple layers to them. You can go outside, be the nice neighbor, the Christian, whatever, and you can go home and be a freak. It's okay. That's a natural activity. It ain't nothing wrong or taboo about it. But people are so, again, stuck in a boxes of what everyone else is gonna say.
It's a fear of being seen by the community at large, the world, and ain't nowhere to hide no more. I mean, so between social media and communication, you are who you are, and we see you. So I think that letting your freak flag fly at its highest is prime in this time. So I appreciate you taking the time to just lay it out with me. We definitely gonna come back together. I already told you I kind of got some things going this next couple of weeks, but I'm gonna get settled and I want to go through some stuff. I want to get some of these topics knocked out.
I'll be around. I'll just say I'm halfway done with my season of my pod, I think. So
tell them where they can find your project, share any social media and any projects you might have.
So you can follow me on Instagram at Syren, SYREN, _stallion. And there I have my link tree in my bio, and it has the streaming sites I'm on. So I'm on Anchor, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. My podcast is called Shit, with the exclamation point for the I. Shit Syren Says with 2 S's. And yeah, you can find me there and check out the fun things we talk about. It's all sex-based and relationships.
Syren does her thing. I'm just glad she made some time for me. Syren, I love it any and every time we get together, and I hope anybody that's listening can follow me. I'm on every platform. I'm on everything smoking right now. I'm on Twitter, TikTok, Tinder, YouTube, Snapchat, SoundCloud, OnlyFans, Instagram, Stereo, Facebook, Twitch, FanDuel, Fanbase. Check me out. Everything is a blessing, and I think this one was a really fun conversation. So thank you, Syren.
No problem.
Till the next episode, y'all. Peace.